I'm Leonard Riggs, and this is my podcast from my head to your ears. It's kind of a special edition. I'm between seasons here on the podcast. I'll probably start my official 5th season in the fall, but I thought I'd take a minute and kind of share an important milestone with you in my life. Today, at the time of this recording, is July 11th, 2025, and it marks the 35th year I've been working at my job at the little convenience store on the corner of 2 highways in Christopher, Illinois. And to some, that may seem like a kind of a not the greatest job in the world, but you know what? It is the greatest job in the world. I have no regrets. I did not expect to be there for 35 years. Matter of fact, I thought I was going to get fired after the first week. And I still worry that I'm going to goof something up and they're going to tell me to leave. But 35 years is a long time to be anywhere. And I didn't know it was going to be a career, and it certainly didn't realize it was going to be what I was known for. But anyway, I want to take a break, and I'm going to go into detail about my 35 years. I've got some stories, some facts, and all kinds of stuff. And again, you can hear the smoke alarm in the background. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I'm going to take a hammer to it. Actually, I went to transfer my my operations of recording to my sit-down area outside that I'm currently in the process of creating. So, anyway, no more smoke alarm then. I don't know what to do with that thing. I'll be honest with you. It's hot-wired and anyway, I digress. So I'm just apologizing for it. It's back there. Hopefully it doesn't drive you nuts. I'm Leonard Riggs. This is my podcast from my head to your ears.
From my head to your ears, I'll be right back. Riding on a midnight groove, no need to pack. Thoughts spinning like vinyl, the needle drops low. Every beat a secret only you'll know.
I'm Leonard Riggs, and this is my podcast from my head to your ears, and it's a special edition of my podcast. I'm on hiatus between seasons, but I could not let the 35th anniversary of my job go without doing a special podcast. 35 years is a long time to be anywhere. 35 years was considered middle age almost at one point. I don't think it is anymore, but but to be somewhere for 35 years, that's just amazing. And I never thought I'd last a week, never mind 35 years. A little background going back. I was looking at some facts about what the world was like in 1990 and July 11th when I got hired. I was wondering, I thought, well, what was the number one song that week? People were really into New Kids on the Block in 1990, and Step by Step was the number one song in Billboard magazine that week. Total Recall, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, was the biggest movie of the week. I started out at my job at minimum wage, the base wage, which was $3.80 back in 1990. And I really was excited that I remember my first paycheck was like, with taxes out, was like $149. And I was so excited about that because I've been working under the paying jobs that paid under the counter cash. And I didn't get paid a lot, but I really was really thrilled to get my first paycheck. And it was quite a bit of money. It wasn't quite a bit of money, but it was more than I was used to. The number one TV show, of course, it was a summer hiatus, but everybody was watching Cheers at that time. President of the United States was George H.W. Bush, the senior Bush president, and James R. Thompson was our governor at that time in Illinois. So, what do I remember about 1990 other than that, personally? Of course, as usual, and still is, summer is hot. I had painted a church foundation, my mom's church foundation, the week prior, actually on July 4th, 1990. And this is how fast this kind of came about, because I was out of work for quite a long time. Finding a job for a 23-year-old guy with no experience in anything is really difficult. Now, I had made the decision not to go to college after much work, getting ready to go, getting a grant and all kinds of stuff. And I was just like, the whole time I was doing that, which my mom was kind of pushing it. She really wanted me to go to school. I really didn't want to go to school. I really just didn't. I was sick of school. And, I don't know that it was a bad decision, but yeah, it certainly was a life-altering decision. But anyway, I worked at a little restaurant called Little Caesars, which is not affiliated with the pizza chain. It was family owned in Christopher, Illinois. It was formerly Chuck's Steakhouse, and they were a really nice family to work for, a great family. Sally and Gary Caesar, and Gary's dad, Al, was my supervisor, I guess you'd call it. He'd come in and sit with me while I cleaned, and he wouldn't let me do any heavy work. I really liked Al. He was a good guy. Of course, Al's long gone now, and actually Sally Caesar passed away not too long ago. She was a good lady. They were great first bosses. It was a little job. I just cleaned the restaurant in the afternoon, stocked the beer cooler, the beer coolers, and then I filled the ice up in the salad bar, and I vacuumed and swept and whatever I did. It was just a afternoon job, and it didn't pay a lot, but, it got me some money. And that was my first job, and then my second job was where I work now. So, yeah, I've had 2 jobs in my whole life. Isn't that crazy? Who does that? I do, apparently. I've always been so stubborn in my life and done things the way I wanted to. So don't think I'm this loser full of regrets, because I'm not. I am a guy that does what he wants and makes it what I want. How can I put that? I take what I've got and I turn it into my own. I don't know. And, gosh, with this job, I've bought a house, and it's provided me with everything I need. And, I paid for my mom's funeral with my salary that I, had put back. And so, everything, you can look at things a certain way and think, this guy's a loser, or you can look at me another way and say, hey, he did pretty well with what he had. So I guess think what you want. That's your business, not mine. I honestly have no regrets. I said that. I have none. I think that's just a waste. 2 things I think is a waste of time in life. And that's one of them, being regretful, and then the other is feeling sorry for, 3 things maybe. Feeling sorry for yourself, and thirdly, being jealous. Just 3 things there, really, I just have no use for, no time for. And, I do think it's very disrespectful to judge people based on what they do, because you have to differentiate people from what they do for a living and who they are, because that's really, it's not two different people. It's just the fact is what you do and who you are aren't the same thing at all. If you're a coal miner, it doesn't mean you're a coal miner. I mean, you're probably a dad and an uncle and a brother and everything else before you're a coal miner. It's what you do, right? So anyway, I'm not just a clerk at a store. I'm Leonard, the guy that works at that store. And hopefully I've been your friendly face for 35 years, because that's all that really matters to me. I have made so many friends, and I'm even shocked at myself. You know, when I started there, I was pretty awkward. I was still kind of in my bubble, and I'd been out of school for a while, and I'd worked that restaurant job where I wasn't with people. So I've kind of got into the habit of not being around people a lot. So I was kind of awkward when I started there. I'm still awkward. What was it I said the other day? I put the all in socially awkward, but, I think the only thing I really wanted to be in television broadcasting or radio when I was a kid. Do I regret that I never got into it? No, I don't. Then I said this, I think, in a other podcast, because the people I know that got into broadcasting gave it up or aren't exactly happy with it. It's changed so much. It's not really, anything I want to get into now, but, I get to podcast anyway. I get to have my voice be heard by however many people's going to listen to this podcast. And I think that's pretty amazing. So anyway, I'm going to take a break, and I'm going to cough a little bit because I'm getting ready to. I'm Leonard Riggs, and this is my podcast, From My Head to Your Ears.
From my head to your ears, let the music appear. No distance between us, just jazz in the air. I'll be right back, don't you fear. Every note I play brings me near.
I'm Leonard Riggs, and this is my podcast, From My Head to Your Ears, and it's 3:02 a.m. in the morning. I've been on vacation this week, and honestly, I've been trying to get stuff done and getting nowhere. I'm having a little bit of an energy level problem, and all kinds of stuff's just not going my way right now, but that's just is what it is. But I've mentioned that when you get an inspiration to podcast, you just got to go with flow. And that's what I did. I thought, I'll just do this now while I'm kind of in my deep thinking. I've been researching stuff, trying to see what happened at the time that I started at the job. And that's why I came up with the figures that I did about what was the number one song and movie and so on and so forth. I have lots of stories for the last 35 years, and most of which I've shared before on a podcast. If you go back in my archives, you can see the stuff that happened to me on midnight shifts. For most of the time at my job, I was on midnight shifts. And that's kind of where I kind of became who I am today. It's where I honed in my identity at my job and became the person I am today. And a lot of times I don't know that it translates well on day shifts, because that's what I work, because midnight shifts was such a weird world in itself. And it was kind of more laid back and a little more personal, because you didn't wait on as many people. Got to be friends with a lot of cops and firemen and EMTs. Still am friends with those people. They're great people. And a few people, my best friend Brandon, I met. He just happened to be moved here from Carthage, Missouri. His parents had moved here. His dad worked for They were in Lake Conservancy District, and Brandon worked in Mount Vernon, and he started stopping in my store, and we just forged a friendship that's lasted now for 20 years, which is amazing. I was best man at his wedding. And then there's the wedding of my really good friends, Mike and Stephanie Parvin, and I missed their wedding because of where I work, because we had Street Machine Nationals, and she had moved her wedding, and it just so happened to fall on Street Machine Nationals weekend. So I couldn't even attend the wedding, never mind be best man, and she gives me crap about that every year. And it's that, okay, I said I didn't have any regrets, and that is one of my biggest regrets, not fighting to take off for that wedding. But at that time, they had put a rule out, nobody's getting off on Street Machine weekend, all hands on deck. And of course, I never have had it easy with planning anything at my job, because something always happens. For the longest time, I was scared to even plan anything because it just got to be such a hassle, because everything you could think of that would happen. People call in, people quit, someone would show up, blah, blah, blah. It just got annoying. But I think when I was dealing with my mom, taking care of my mom, and I got kind of demoted to second assistant. I was assistant manager, and the timing actually was perfect for me, because I really wasn't able to concentrate on being assistant manager or being in management at all. I was basically filling in, doing paperwork here and there, whatever. But my main priority at that time was my mom. And that was 8 years. I've mentioned that before, but if you didn't know that, yeah, I took care of my mom for 8 years, and what a journey that was. People often liken that to child care, but it's the opposite of child care. It actually starts out a little easier. Well, I don't know. When she was mobile, I had to worry about her getting out, and she did a couple of times, or falling or what have you. But it's like taking care of a child, but it's like the child's not learning anything. They're unlearning stuff. So you have to do more and more for them as the time goes on. And what started out as someone who could eat and watch TV and whatever, and then at the end I had to feed her and bathe her and clean her. It was just different. During my time at my job, the losses, just, if you think about it, how many friends and loved ones that I've lost over the years, it's very sad, but it's a part of life. I was thinking some of the elderly people that I know now were 30 years ago were my age or younger now. So it's kind of a weird thought. Another weird thought that occurred to me was the time frame of 35 years, how fast that went. And another 35 years, I'll be, what will I be, 90? Let's see. I'm 58, 90. I can't think. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, people. 58, 5, I'll be 93. Is that correct? I believe. I have to use a calculator. I think that's correct. Let's see. I'm 58 plus 35. Oh, yeah, 93. Whew. Life goes by fast, doesn't it? And the last 35 years has flown. Wow, that just kind of depressed me a little bit. I will be turning 60 at the end of next year. I'll be 25. Yeah, in my mind. I will be 59 in December, so Can you imagine, though, if you didn't know me back then, could you imagine me as a 23-year-old, 172-pound guy with a massive head of hair and a suntan? I had a suntan when I walked into my job for the first time. Isn't that crazy? I don't think I've seen a really true suntan since. But I was talking about my job and what it afforded me. It afforded me to meet a lot of people and make a lot of friends. That was number one. I did get to go to Cancun. I won a trip. And I took my sister Lori, who has since passed away, as you know. And we had a great time. I would have never been able to take a trip like that in my life had I just tried to take one. I stayed at a 5-star hotel, and it was awesome. And, as a matter of fact, at my sister's memorial, I spoke of that trip, and we had some good memories and some good laughs about that time. And I don't know. My mind is kind of racing tonight. I think I'm going to take a break, and I'll be right back. We'll talk some more about my 35 years at my job. I'm Leonard Riggs. This is my podcast, From My Head to Your Ears. Leonard Riggs, and this is my podcast From My Head to Your Ears, and I'm talking about my 35 years at my job. Time has really flown. I was thinking about the friends I made and the friends I made with my coworkers. I've, for the most part, there's just a couple of exceptions, I still am friendly, at least, or friends with the people I started out with and the people I've worked with over the years. And I think I'll do a little tribute to them. I lost my Wilma in March, and I worked with her for almost 30 years. And she was like not only my work mom, she was kind of my mom in real life. She worried about me, and she was in my ear. She was my sounding board. I would call her when I had a problem, and she'd listen. And we'd like to talk on the phone. And every now and then she'd pick me up, and me and her sons would go somewhere. And they always remembered me at Christmas. And I tried to remember her at Christmas and her birthday. And she died 2 weeks shy of her 90th birthday. Worked till she was 83 years old. She was an amazing lady. Still miss her. I still think I would need to call her every now and then, and she's just not there. Another lady that passed was my assistant manager at the time when I started, and she gave me the best advice ever that I have used my whole time where I am. And I'm not going to tell you what the advice was, but she often would see me. We didn't keep in direct contact with each other, but we ran into each other all the time. And she'd always say, "You remember what I told you?" I said, "Yes, that's words to live by. I have never forgotten that." I was sad to see that she passed away. I think last year or the year before, I can't remember. I remember a little lady named Patsy when I started working there. She would walk across the street to work, and she's been gone a long time. She passed away. And the saddest, Wilma's heartbreaking, but the saddest case that I knew of a coworker passing was, we had a young man named Casey that worked at our store a couple years ago, and he, for some reason, was on the highway real late at night, walking down during a rainstorm, and someone hit him and killed him. And that was the first time I'd ever dealt with anything like that, where they had called me to confirm information. State police did, and I had to notify his family or whatever. And that was the worst. I don't ever want to go through that ever again. But, yeah, he left a little boy behind. It was very sad. I've had many instances where I was working and someone left me, and I was the last person they saw. It's a strange thought. That's part of being where I work, being on the corner of those two highways. You just see and meet a lot of people. And, excuse me, I wouldn't change any of it, but, that's the downside of knowing so many people. It seems like people pass away all the time. It's just a sad, sad fact of life. This was a shorter segment. I'm going to take another break, and I'll be right back, and we're going to wrap this up. I'm Leonard Riggs. This is my podcast From My Head to Your Ears.
From my head to your ears, I'll be right back. Riding on a midnight groove, no need to pack. Thoughts spinning like vinyl, the needle drops low. Every beat a secret only you'll know.
I'm Leonard Riggs, and this is my podcast From My Head to Your Ears. And I'm celebrating my 35th year at my job, and I was thinking back at the things that I wanted with my first paycheck, because that was the most money I'd earned at that point in a week's time. I had a little job before that I didn't make very much money with, but I remember laying away a Sharp CD player. Now, CDs were new back then, and I wanted a CD player so bad. And CDs were kind of pricey, $14, $15 a piece at that point. But what I did was I joined the Columbia Music Club for CDs, and I got like 10 for a penny. That old schmill. If you don't, if you're not old enough, you may not remember it, but I got my actually 11 CDs at that time. And then I went to Carbondale Mall and I bought Olivia's Greatest Hits. Wow, I can't remember the other one I bought. I bought 2 CDs, Olivia's Greatest Hits. And I don't remember the other one. Oh, shoot. Well, anyway, I bought 2 CDs, Olivia Newton-John being one. So anyway, I put it on layaway. I made payments on it. And the day I went to pay off my layaway, the CDs came in. So it was like I had like 11 CDs, 12, 13 CDs all at once. And I tell you what, I went crazy with the CDs in my first years at Hux. I amassed such a collection of CDs. I still have them. They're in storage. They're under my bed. They're everywhere. Another thing, movies. Now I'm trying to remember the year that they started actually selling movies on VHS as opposed to letting them be rented. And I had a VCR. We rented movies at where I work on the little, this is very hard not to say where I work. You know where I work if you know me. The little convenience store in the corner of 2 highways in Christopher, Illinois. We rented movies back then, and we could rent the movies ahead of time before they hit the public. So they let us do that. And I got to see a lot of movies that were popular at that time. Silence of the Lambs, and I found a movie called Dogfight with River Phoenix and Lily Taylor that I still love to this day. And just cool movies. Home Alone was one of them, which came out the next year. But anyway, So, and the other thing I wanted was a color television. Would you believe I had a little black and white television that I had had since I was a kid? And actually was, my dad's. It was an old TV from the 1970s. And, it still worked. A little 13-inch TV. So I finally got my own color television, and those were pricey back then. So I put that on layaway as well. Got it at Walmart. The big thing about televisions back then, they were huge. I mean, they were clunky. They were heavy. Even the smaller ones. I remember that box being so big we couldn't hardly fit it in the car, and it was a 19-inch television. So, yeah, it was nice to be able to afford things I wanted. I was still living at home, so I didn't have any bills per se. And my parents didn't even charge me rent at that time. They were just so glad I was working. But it was nice to have my own money. And that's the funniest thing I can remember. It was also nice to go to the grocery store and get what I wanted. And of course, what I wanted. And that is funny because when I got that job, that is when I started gaining weight, because I would buy those little, back then it was Geno's pizzas, Geno's and Totino's. And I think Totino's bought Geno's out, but I loved the Geno's sausage pizzas. They were smaller than the Totino's. You know, when Totino's first came out, they were big. They were like 12-inch pizzas. And then they went to the small party size. I never understood why they call those party pizzas, because, you know, they're just little square pizzas, enough for one person, really. Anyway, but we had a store called Big John's, which ironically was owned, early on, which was, let me back up. It was started by the same corporation that owns where I work. And I think they sold their shares in it or whatever and concentrated on the chain of where I work. And anyway, but Big John's was awesome in West City, Illinois, and it was at the Walmart Plaza. And Walmart was at an old location. It was just a basic Walmart. It didn't have the grocery side in it or anything. So we had Big John's. You go grocery shop in Walmart. You went to get your other stuff, and life was good. It's my favorite stores when I first got my job. I remember the biggest thing I remember when I first started was being called in all the time. You get a day off, and either someone was begging you to work for them, or you would just get flat out called in. And I hate to this day, it still happens to me occasionally. I hate being called in on my days off. Hate it. I live for my days off. That just drives me crazy. 30 years ago, let me think, 35 years ago, I remember, of course, we had the teen club uptown, in Christopher, Illinois, the Whirl Away Club, and that created quite a crazy crowd at night. You could not go through Christopher on a Friday or Saturday night with this teen club. It was packed. I mean, you couldn't even get through town. We had to go on the side roads to get me to work. And then I'd get to work, and when, you know, they would let out, oh God, my store was just packed. And midnight shifts were crazy back then. All the bars were open. The teen club was open. It was just, the nightlife in our area, especially the summertime, was just insane. And then there's the DuQuoin State Fair. And my first, I don't remember if I told this story on my other podcast, but my first night of the DuQuoin State Fair by myself on midnight shifts, they decided to go to prepay gas. This is back in 1990. Believe it or not, if you're listening in a bigger city, we still do, you could pump your gas and go in and pay. You're kind of on the honor system. Well, they decided to take that away, and they decided to do the prepay. And it was Leonard Skinner was at the fair, and I had a bunch of motorcycle guys come in, and I'm talking 50, 60 motorcycles, not just a little bit. They're all coming in, throwing their money at me, and I'm new. I literally hadn't been there just over a month. And I was so confused, working by myself. And I was like, okay, this was nice to work here, but I'm going to get fired. And somehow I made it through it. And, those first trials and tribulations, I still remember exactly what it felt like to be new there. I still remember the first night by myself. I remember having a line around the store all the way to the back. The store was so busy back then. We were the only C-store in the whole area. There was no competition, and there was nothing open in the neighboring town of DuQuoin, and there wasn't a lot of 24-hour stores out there, so we were it. And I remember that first night, I had a line back to the wall, and everybody was drunk and screaming at me. And they're like, don't you know how you do your job, God? Just cussing me. And I'm just sitting there. I remember we had paper food stamps, and you could get change from them. But if you rang something on the wrong tax, say food is 1% tax, but if you rang that food on a 6% tax, and you had to know the taxes, it wouldn't work. It would just beep, and you would be just locked in. And that's what happened to me, and I could not get out of I couldn't get out of it, and everybody's screaming at me, and I thought, I want to run the other direction. But I stuck it out, and I can remember being told by somebody that we're all taking bets as to when you're going to get fired. And I was just making mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake, and oh God, I was always thinking, I'm going to get fired, I'm going to get fired. But they gave me more than a fighting chance to stay there. And look at me now. Celebrate my 35th year at my job, and that is just crazy. And that smoke alarm, I'm about ready to take a hammer to it, so I apologize. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this look back. I didn't do a long one this time. I really want to thank everybody for shopping with me and following along the journey. And the thing I've always said it, the thing I love the most about my job is the people I've met and the friends I've made. And that includes coworkers, customers, everything. It's made my life, and I don't regret anything. I think I said that earlier. If I didn't, I'm saying it now. This has been my life, and it's not been so bad. And I'm sitting here. I have survived the biggest fears of my life were losing my parents and family, and I've survived that, and here I am. And I didn't fall apart. I took care of my mom for 8 years, and I didn't fall apart. And I'm still here. I'm still kicking. I'm still going. I'm still above ground. That's everything. So I'm going to take a break, and I'm going to wrap this up. I'm Leonard Riggs, and this is my podcast, From My Head to Your Ears.
From my head to your ears, let the music appear. No distance between us, just jazz in the air. I'll be right back, don't you fear. Every note I play brings me near.
I'm Leonard Riggs, and this is my podcast, From My Head to Your Ears, and I'm wrapping this up. I thank you for joining along. This is a special edition of my podcast. I'm going to take a little break, even though I haven't been podcasting a lot lately. I've just got a lot going on. I got a mess of a house, and I've been very tired, and I just haven't been very inspired lately. But I will be back with more podcasts very soon. Stay tuned. If you haven't listened to any past broadcasts, you can find all my podcasts on just anywhere you listen to podcasts, including now YouTube, which I'm really thrilled about. You can just kind of go to my page on YouTube and look down the list and catch up. If you've not listened to some of my past, I think I'm close to 80 episodes, if not at 80 episodes now. So, I am very happy about that, and I will continue to do this, if not as often as I used to. I like I said, when I get inspired, I'm there. So anyway, thank you for listening. Thank you for following along with me on my 35 years at my job, and I love you all, and I really can't say much more than that. So, I'm Leonard Riggs, and this has been my podcast, From My Head to Your Ears. See you next time.